Some Indians that come to the US just think they're better. They think they're better than other minorities, and then they act outraged when they're treated like them. We've all heard a family member or someone say that we're successful because we value education. We're not like those other communities that like to complain. What if I told you that's casteism, just rebranded as the model minority myth?
I'm happy that like Indians are now seeing like what we've been telling them for so long. Like, you are not part of the white supremacist party. Like, you can be conservative, you can have money, you can be successful. They will let you get to a certain level. But the second Vivek Ramaswamy said, hey, I think I should be president, all of a sudden, all we see is like unfettered racism towards Indian people.
So unlike most girls, I'm actually this gym and sports freak, and my mom makes this Indian food and I just don't eat it because it's so unhealthy. No, look at my nose. It's actually like prettier and smaller than almost everyone I know, and I'm Indian. Black colored and brown colored eyes are just so normal, you know, like my eyes are like hazel green from that angle of the sun. It's just so like exotic.
I'm going to need every single immigrant group to stop saying we're the good ones. That other group of people over there are the bad immigrants. I've been hearing some Asian immigrants saying this about Somalis. That's what inspired me to make this video. But pretty much all immigrant groups have members that are like trying to be the pick-me's and pointing the finger at everybody else. This is never going to work. Any racism and xenophobia that you perpetuate against somebody else is eventually going to be used against you.
You know what's starting to like make me really mad that I've been noticing is like when like a non-white person is in a room full of like white people or like hanging around white people and they purposely are racist to their own race to like be funny to the white people like that they're around. And like I know I'm white, so I feel like I've been in this situation where like someone that's not white, like just anyone that's not white does that, and it's like it's low-key so embarrassing. Like, first of all, it's just embarrassing because why are you literally putting down your entire race of people just to make a couple white people laugh? I get it if you're like making jokes about your race with other people that are your race because they can relate to it and they also like they understand it because they're the same race as you. Like, it's like more normal, I feel like.
You know, sometimes black people, you ask yourself, why are people who are supposed to understand the struggles that we're going through? Why are people who are supposed to be the first people to understand like every difficult part that black Americans have gone through or black people generally have gone through, do not do that? They're the ones, in fact, who goes ahead and even make their lives so much harder for black people, especially black Americans. That leads us to our today's discussion, because I'm just realizing that we are having more and more pygmy Indians who so much want to be close to power. They have this minded that proximity to power means that you have to associate with whiteness, or you want to, please these people by doing some things that harm people that you should have unified with. The perfect example is Indian Americans, or Indians generally, because we have seen the issue of anti-blackness in these Indian spaces, especially black Americans encounter with Indians who are in the United States, which makes them Indian Americans. But I'm not saying that all of them visibly do this, but we have some of them that have this pygmy syndrome. This is a menace to the United States because all these presumed minority groups, they could have only have a voice if they could have stood with black people, but they go ahead and do the opposite because of the Stockholm syndrome. You go ahead and love much of your oppressor because, the Indians were colonized by the British, if I'm not wrong. So when they get into these spaces, they get the Stockholm syndrome and they want proximity to whiteness, which makes them even sabotage the good things that they can have when they unify with these other small groups. So brothers and sisters, we are going to discuss a concept called a pygmy, which is visible, a pattern in the Indian community, especially Indians in America. So stay tuned as we talk about this educational content, and then I'll be back with my thoughts and commentaries. And I'm just asking, if you're watching me for the first time, I'm asking you to please subscribe to my channel, join my membership, and really get to what I can offer you. But until then, let's watch the video. I'll be back.
I'm actually so surprised how many fellow South Asians slash Indians jumped in on the trend to mock that lady. Now again, I am not defending that lady who stole the Target. What she did was bad and I am not defending it. However, fellow South Asians are jumping on the bandwagon of mocking her accent, even though their parents sound like that. Like, we're immigrants. Our parents have the Indian accents. And yet they're blatantly mocking that woman's accent and the thing is, South Asians, I find our community pathetic in the sense that we are so quick to make fun of our own in order to appease for white validation. However, when one of us is in trouble, we don't step up. It's pathetic, really. For example, with all this Indian racism going on, I barely see any South Asians speaking up. I do see some. However, South Asians are much more likely to tackle each other. Like, we will hurt each other. It's like a male-centered woman who will hurt other women for male validation. Indians are like male-centered women, except we're white-centered. Like, we're a white-centered race. Like, we're like the pick-me race. Like, if you get what I'm saying. And it's ridiculous. Again, I'm not defending the Target lady, but instead of like acknowledging that what she did was wrong, people are choosing to focus on her accent, the way she speaks. And like, that's not holding someone accountable. That is just being plain racist. And the fact that my fellow people are joining the bandwagon just so they can get a bit of laughs and hee hee ha ha's from their white friends, it's pathetic. And if we keep like begging for validation, and if we don't start standing up for our own people, we're gonna go nowhere.
Some Indians that come to the US just think they're better. They think they're better than other minorities, and then they act outraged when they're treated like them. We've all heard a family member or someone say that we're successful because we value education. We're not like those other communities that like to complain. What if I told you that's casteism, just rebranded as the model minority myth? Because that sentiment is exactly how they minimize people of lower caste. That's why America's power structure is perfect for Indians, because it reinforces what they already believe. You see, a lot of these Indians that immigrate to the US, they come from upper castes. They come from privilege. And it takes a lot of that to immigrate to the US because that's not an easy process. They were never oppressed in India. In fact, they were more than likely the oppressors. And a side effect of this is that they bring their casteist and elitist bullshit here. And bro, I see it in my own Telugu communities. They try to maintain caste dynamics here. It's weird, bro. I promise you, the people that call you Pajit or Stinky or tell you to shower, they don't give a flying what caste you're from. So just leave that back at home or just don't come here at all. You want to know why some people are so surprised by this Indian hate? It's because they thought they were above it. They thought because they were keeping their head down and getting money that it absolved them from the consequences of being a minority in the United States. Well, newsflash, it doesn't. We're useful until we aren't anymore. And then comes the anti-immigrant sentiment, which is a whole nother story. We can talk about that next time.
I'm going to need every single immigrant group to stop saying we're the good ones. That other group of people over there are the bad immigrants. I've been hearing some Asian immigrants saying this about Somalis. That's what inspired me to make this video. But pretty much all immigrant groups have members that are like trying to be the pick-me's and pointing the finger at everybody else. This is never going to work. Any racism and xenophobia that you perpetuate against somebody else is eventually going to be used against you because you're an immigrant of color. You are never going to be accepted into the core of white America. And also every immigrant ethnicity is going to have some members that commit crimes and a lot of members who work really hard and contribute a lot to this country. There are going to be good and bad people in every single immigrant group, just like any other ethnicity, just like white people. So you going off and saying my group of immigrants is all good, someone's going to prove you wrong really quick and you don't want to dig that hole for yourself. We need to not excuse bad treatment of anybody. We're all immigrants, we're all in the same boat. Some of us have more privilege than others and we should be using it to protect each other. I think basically every single immigrant community of color has experienced the raids, the violence, the fear. ICE has hit all of us. The president has engaged in hate speech against all of us. I'm Chinese, I know. Seriously, wrap it up. We have better things to do.
One of the things that I have thoroughly been enjoying is the Asian community holding their pygmies accountable. If you haven't been paying attention, there was an Asian creator here on this app that said that she gets uncomfortable when she sees white people in H Mart. That video sparked so much discussion across the internet, and they have been going at it, guys. The conversation has ranged from how white people commodify their spaces for profit, how they don't respect their culture, etc., etc. I've just been sitting on the sidelines watching because I think this conversation is one that needs to be had. If you've been following this page for a while, then you probably saw the video where we talked about it a little bit when the Asian community helped overturn affirmative action. When I first made that video, that's when I noticed the people that were being used as shields for white people in that discussion, because a bunch of white people were tagging people like Sujia in order to be the mouthpiece against what I was saying. This conversation that the Asian community is having is super important because Uncle Tom's hurt everyone and they're a part of every single community. That's how we get things like that ICE photo where they're unmasked and the majority of them are Latino. I hope this discussion continues because white supremacy hurts every single one of us.
The Manchurian candidate, J.D. Vance, wants to be president more than anything else.
Yeah.
I always wonder what's going on in the mind of his wife. Like, are you
Agreed.
okay? Please blink 4 times.
Yes.
We'll come over here. We'll save you.
Nope. Nope. Saki, so help me God. No. Just because this woman is aging like the raw milk that MAGA will not stop chugging for some reason, doesn't mean she actually regrets anything that's going on. Okay? Usha is a very, very smart woman and had a very, very successful legal career, during which she clerked for Roberts and Kavanaugh, who are separately doing their part to destroy this country from the inside. I cannot overstate the likelihood that she and Peter Thiel were the ones who charted out the career of this Appalachian cornhusk doll. She picked his religion, but she didn't convert. Does that sound like a woman with no control? Yes, he is in fact the Manchurian candidate, but that makes her Meryl Streep. She is not a hostage. This is not Get Out. If anything, she is the brown Catherine Keener here. Do not trust her. Do not waste your energy trying to rescue someone like this. She is dangerous. They are dangerous. These people are racist with a capital R. They believed that they fit into the Republican Party because even though white America would still never fully accept them, there was this air of civility. But masks are completely off in 2025. And they are learning for the first time that they do not make the cut. They thought their money and their power would insulate them from white Christian nationalist racism, but they are learning it does not. So just because they may look a little sad while photographed or push back even marginally on the racism that they are experiencing, it does not mean that Usha and her race traitor ilk aren't thoroughly enjoying stripping us of our food, our healthcare, our privacy, our freedoms, all in pursuit of proximity to this type of white power. I know you guys think cinema and Fetterman and Nazi tits are bad, but these people are also very, very dangerous. And just because they look like third-string Batman villains, do not underestimate them, okay? Okay.
You know what's starting to like make me really mad that I've been noticing is like when like a non-white person is in a room full of like white people or like hanging around white people and they purposely are racist to their own race to like be funny to the white people like that they're around. And like I know I'm white, so I feel like I've been in this situation where like someone that's not white, like just anyone that's not white does that, and it's like it's low-key so embarrassing. Like first of all, it's just embarrassing because why are you literally putting down your entire race of people just to make a couple white people laugh? I get it if you're like making jokes about your race with other people that are your race because they can relate to it and they also like they understand it because they're the same race as you. Like it's like more normal, I feel like. But I don't know why you're sitting there like literally putting down your own race, making racist jokes or like remarks towards a bunch of people who don't really like get it because they're not that race. And then also like they're just enforcing the fact that they can make fun of you. Like I get it's fine to like make jokes and stuff, but like don't do it in a room full of people that like already would do it to you and then they add on to it and it's just like you're just okay with that. Like what? It's like if I went to a room full of boys and just started making like sexist comments like about myself or whatever, and then just like they're laughing and I'm just like, oh haha, like so funny, like I need to go back to the kitchen. Like it's giving pick me. It's giving pick me on like an insane level.
I'm happy that like Indians are now seeing like what we've been telling them for so long. Like you are not part of the white supremacist party. Like you can be conservative, you can have money, you can be successful. They will let you get to a certain level. But the second Vivek Ramaswamy said, hey, I think I should be president, all of a sudden, all we see is like unfettered racism towards Indian people. The whole factory ethics lady is probably responding to more posts about Indians and how they smell than any other group. And it's literally because Indians try to adopt conservative politics. Indians are now facing more racism because they tried to go to the racist party and do what they do. And those racist people said, oh my God, I'm going to be racist to you now.
I don't know if your comment comes from a place of heavy ignorance or if you're just being ostentatious and trying to front a pretty crude mindset, but I'm more than happy to break it down for you. Why is your gut reaction when white women are held accountable to claim jealousy? Is it because you as a white woman think you have something that I should be jealous of? Pretty nasty bias. Maybe you should sit with that for a minute. Or do you just not understand that the lingering remnants of colonial trauma and centuries of Western supremacy cause people to put a premium on whiteness, which allows white creators to propel themselves, to boost their content using our cultures, and to take up POC spaces? Or are you just using jealousy as a way to silence me and prevent me from speaking about the exploitation of my culture because playing white victim comes easy to you? Pretty tacky, but that's the one I'm leaning towards. You must be allergic to accountability. As for jealousy, when it comes to the culture that my ancestors built for me, you can't outdo the doer, Becky. And I've never been one to aim for mediocrity.
So unlike most girls, I'm actually this gym and sports freak, and my mom makes this Indian food and I just don't eat it because it's so unhealthy. No, look at my nose. It's actually like prettier and smaller than almost everyone I know, and I'm Indian. Black colored and brown colored eyes are just so normal, you know, like my eyes are like hazel green from that angle of the sun. It's just so like exotic, and like guys love my eyes. Oh, don't worry, I'm such a guy. I completely get you. Even I agree, Indian women are kind of... Yeah, so I get why you think other people are better. No, she's really pretty. Like, for an Indian girl, she's really pretty.
So for those who are asking themselves this question, and we've heard the perspectives of some Indians also talk about this, and it's important because they see all these things that they happen in real time, and they get to see all these things and how they happen. So one major factor that contributes to this is these people are thirsty to proximity to power. So understand that in the United States, whiteness has long functioned as the cultural and political center of legitimacy, because for immigrants and their descendants, especially those seeking stability and upward mobility, aligning with the dominant group can feel like a survival strategy. Get that right? Because some Indian Americans believe that signaling loyalty to white conservatives through anti-immigrant rhetoric, disdain for black activism, or praise of Western values will move them closer to full acceptance. The motivation is less about ideology. It is more about perceived safety status and belonging. Also, another thing is, historical immigration patterns also matter, because many Indian immigrants arrived in the US after 1965 through selective immigration policies that favored highly educated professionals. So this created a class profile that is disproportionately middle to upper class compared to other marginalized groups. So as a result, some Indian internalized the idea that their success proves racism is exaggerated or obsolete. So conservative narratives that emphasize hard work over systemic analysis can feel validating to those who want their achievements to be recognized without confronting structural inequality. And that's also an important factor to key in, right? Another layer is the model minority myth. Let me talk about it. The triple M, model minority myth, which frames certain non-white groups as successful, law-abiding, and non-confrontational, in contrast to groups portrayed as problematic. Some Indian Americans lean into this myth because it offers conditional praise for white conservatives. However, this praise is transactional. It is guaranteed only as long as they reinforce existing racial hierarchies and do not challenge white dominance. So the moment they step out of line, that acceptance can quickly evaporate. You need to understand that there's also a strong anti-black component that cannot be ignored. So in conservative spaces, alignment often requires minimizing or dismissing black struggles. That's the biggest part. That's what we refer to as anti-black component, because while they are trying to align, they are making black people look bad. So they go ahead by minimizing or dismissing black struggles, mocking movements like Black Lives Matter, or framing anti-black racism as a personal failing rather than systemic issue. Some Indian Americans adopt these positions to signal that they are not like those minorities. So this distancing is just a way of saying implicitly, I'm closer to you than to them. Even though racial hierarchies do not actually operate that way, because you can never be white people. Racial hierarchy will never operate that way. And this is that part that this group of people don't get, because they believe that there is something that they are going to get, that white people are going to reward them with proximity. White people are going to accept that now, oh, now you're a white person. We accept you to the cook. You are allowed to come. That has never happened, and it can never happen that way. So also another factor or another point that I need to key in is cultural conditioning. Cultural conditioning also play a role as well. Understand that in many post-colonial societies, including India, whiteness and Western approval were historically associated with power, with intelligence, and modernity due to British colonial rule. So these ideas did not disappear with independence. They were absorbed into social norms. When Indian Americans seek validation from white conservatives, it can reflect a deeper colonial hangover where proximity to white authority still feels like success, even when it requires self-erasure or complicity. Another factor to also key in, also see, is conservative spaces also strategically elevate a small number of outspoken Indian and other non-black minorities voices to legitimize their arguments. When an Indian American repeats conservative talking points, it is often used as a shield. We are not racists. Look who agrees with us. So the dynamic rewards individuals who are willing to perform agreement publicly, creating incentives of exaggerated loyalty. The visibility of these figures can make the behavior seem more widespread than it actually is, but it still shapes the perception. Another thing which is often misunderstood is this strategy rarely delivers what it promises. And it's true, because alignment with white conservatives does not grant true inclusion. It offers conditional tolerance. Indian Americans may be praised as good immigrants, while immigration policies still target brown bodies, or celebrated for economic success, while being mocked, stereotyped, or excluded socially. So the pick-me posture may yield short-term validation, but it does not dismantle the racial hierarchy it reinforces. So this phenomenon is less about Indians specifically and more about how racial systems reward proximity to whiteness while pushing solidarity among marginalized groups. Many Indian Americans reject this dynamic entirely and actively stand against racism and exclusion, as we have seen. So, tell me what you think about this. I really don't know, because this is a problem. I've seen some Indians practice anti-blackness. Yeah, it exists. This is something which we see happening. So I really want to know what you think about this. And as you know, I'm your host and presenter, H Stories. But until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.